Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Let me pull my question list. Just a quick second here. Questions. All right, here we go. Here's one from Chris Van D. All right, Chris, here you are. Oh, I just moved around. I'll let you talk. Will, I'll promote you to panelist. I'm not sure I understand this question exactly. Question in the chat now here. How do you join or merge to different lists on a column, similar to SQL join between two tables? And is it possible to call a SQL Server stored procedure with user-defined table as a parameter? Right now, it's not. There's two questions there. The second question is no. You can't currently pass in a table as an input to a stored procedure called from the application. That's something we are looking at adding. We've had some requests for it, but right now it's not possible in the product. Chris, do I have you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little bit quiet, but I can hear you. Can you help me understand your first question? How to join or merge different lists on a column?
I have two lists and they have a column in common. So I don't know how to explain it better, but similar to SQL, if you had two tables, you would, maybe you had an RD column in each of them, and you could join on that RD.
Yeah.
Make one list out of two, but it's not merging lists that have the same set of columns. It's different except for one column, and you're basically extending a list. If I can put it that way, if that makes sense.
So these lists that you're like, say you're doing, these lists are already in the flow. There's like two collections that come in and they have the same ID.
Yes, potentially. So I think in my instance, they were both query types. So based on a query.
Okay, that's fine. That means they're defined data structures.
Yeah.
Now the ideally you could do them. I think the best answer would be to do the join in SQL and have it return both together.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
they're coming from different databases on different servers. So
okay.
That's why.
We just added a step for this join types list mapping step. This is in 8 recent to make this easier, much easier to do. We just added this step. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at all these notes. Wow, look at us go. And in this one, you actually give it the two lists, the property to match on, and then the type to output, and it will map everything together for you. If you can't, sorry, go ahead.
They don't have to be strings, do they?
No, this could be accounts or these can be a complex type.
Okay, great.
Like you might say, I have an account, and then I'm just going to make this up, and a folder. And then, the property is going to be the account ID, and this will be the folder ID. Okay, maybe. Select one property.
This does look like what I was looking for there.
Yeah, this is it. I don't know why that's only giving me cars. Maybe I picked a weird folder option, and then you would spec the type. Now this is kind of recent-ish. I don't know, Will, if you could confirm for me when we release this. I think this is in 1 or 2 releases back. If you don't have this, then you are talking about doing some kind of looping, right? Where you'd be doing like a for each step on the larger of the 2 collections.
Yeah.
Right. And then you'd be probably using a rule collection filter. Possibly. Or maybe get index of item.
I was trying to get away from looping.
Yeah.
So
this step is relatively new. Introduced in 8.10. This does what you want out of the box today, but you might have to upgrade to get access to it, or you're looping.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the question. Now, Tyson is offering a suggestion about using relationships. I'm just going to let you talk. Tyson, can you do relationships across connections, or are they only in a connection?
Mine is I only have one connection, so I haven't tried cross connection. Maybe that's what holds us back here.
Chris, are your two tables in different connections or just two? You're saying they're different connections entirely, right? Different
Yeah.
SQL servers
Yes,
or,
that's
or
correct.
databases? Okay.
That's right. Databases on different servers, yes.
What Tyson's referring to here is a relationship where once you've created, like you can create connections between tables very similarly. And then this will allow you to like extend a report automatically with the data from the two tables joined together. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you for that question. For each group by the field to join. That's a good idea too. If you're looping, there's also a for each in group step that may help make that a bit easier. On this, you can group by the ID field. Well, no, but it's the other. It's not that there's multiple items in each collection with the same ID. It's that the same ID may exist, I guess, in both collections, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
in my instance, it's the ID is actually unique on both sides or whatever. So it's, you know, I understand grouping might help you loop less, you know, if that's what you know, if you're joining with a loop like that, but yeah, they're actually unique. But,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then yeah, I don't know that formation group will help you out much here. So if you get to 810, you can use the new step. Otherwise, you are in a place, Chris, where you will have to loop, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I understand.
Yeah, you bet. All right. And okay, so Tyson, let's go to you, sir. You've got a question here. I have
You
a
ran out of
report.
space, Will. Yeah.
No, whereas I have a report connected to a database and then a work record assigned to a person. When they click the link, it's taking them to a dashboard that have the report. Would love to filter the record in the report. So you want to be able to, you want to load the dashboard, the report on the dashboard with a filter already?
Correct. Yeah. And I was trying to do the column filter
Mm-hmm.
by selecting from a flow. It wasn't working, so I'd love to see an example.
I think what you want is probably to use an inform session and a send parameter step here. Let me see. Load filtered dashboard. So I'll make a folder here, a regular folder. Then I'll come here and I'll create, a dashboard. So page. On this, I'll put a report viewer. I'll create a report. And on this, I will add an account data source with email created on created date. And then here, I'm gonna put a field filter for email address equals, set it to show everything if null, and then I'm gonna say get values from other reports and then make it, I'm gonna camel case it to make it email address and save. Now, what I'm gonna do is build a flow. I'm not sure this is gonna work on the first try, so let's just see. I'm gonna find inform and find inform session. This is going to be, I'm gonna say navigate and specify parameters. I don't know that this is gonna work. Let me just put in, let me find, my page name will be ASDF, my folder ID will be the folder ID of my folder. This is like a very fancy custom magic step. And then parameters, I'm going to add email address. And then I'm going to, under email address, put a constant value of admin@decisions.com. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to run this flow and it takes me, and it doesn't append. So maybe navigate URL. Let's see. All right, why is it null? Oh, I didn't even, did I not say my reports here? So if I come here directly, I don't have any data. Let me check my report really quick. There's my report. My report has data, email address, show all when empty. That should be working. What am I missing here?
Did you use your email? Maybe try the admin at decisions.com. I don't remember which one you put in.
It should be adding that as a URL parameter, but it's not. Let me try something really quick. Let me edit that flow and change the behavior. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of that parameter, and I'm going to say, I'm going to, how about open URL? I'm going to do a constant, and I'm going to do this. Oh, I didn't even, you know what? I didn't add the dang view to the freaking folder. That's what I get for moving fast. There's ASDF, pick page, page one. It's not even, I'm just looking at an empty folder view. That's dumb. Let me exit this. Don't save. Let me run this. Okay, so it's not applying the filter. Let me make sure I didn't break that. I didn't change anything there. Okay. So let me come back here and modify how this works. Get rid of this, change this to open URL. I'm just going to see if I can't get this to work by building a URL here. So here's ASDF. I'm going to copy this, put this here. And I'm going to say, and email address equals admin at decisions.com. Exit and close. There's probably a, I think this will work. There you go. So
Awesome.
that will work, though the other way should work too. I don't know why it's not. So what I used is an informed session. So you'd have to get all this data dynamically, right?
Right.
But I just leverage the ability to craft a custom URL, and I put in the value of the filter on the report that I want to append to this URL. And then it opens a new tab. You can see that it appends that parameter to the URL, and then that report is filtering off of that parameter.
And then to run the flow one to kick that off, would you just do that on navigate to the main? Yeah. How do you kick this off without running it?
This flow here?
Yeah, we'll just run because we're setting it on when we open this URL.
Okay, so the link in the you have a link in like an email that they're going to?
Yeah, it's another dashboard. So there's a work link you click and it jumps it. So should I jump to this one here, and then that will jump them to the filtered view?
I would see if you can use this step in whatever the action is on
Okay.
that other dashboard.
That makes total sense.
Use this as your navigate action, and then you can append URL parameters to it and get it to load filtered.
Awesome. You're a genius. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man. Happy to help. All right, and okay, we got you, Radley. What do you got for us, sir?
Hey, Will. So I have a subflow that I'm currently using in a couple dozen other flows, and as we expand out, it'll be used in more flows. What's happening is when I make a change to that subflow, I'm getting a element broken dependency error in all the flows in which that's used.
Okay.
And to solve it, I just go into that flow. I won't change anything. I just save that flow again, and the error goes away.
Okay.
As we start using this in more flows, like, am I doing something wrong here? How do I clear these errors without having to go into each flow in which it's used and just click save?
So you make a change in the subflow, not related to the inputs or outputs?
So it's an enterprise constant subflow. So I'm adding a new constant that I need to use in one or more new flows.
Okay.
So I am changing, I guess, the outputs from that flow, but I'm not changing an output that's currently in use.
And it throws like a design time validation in all of those parent flows?
Well,
that only clears when you click open and save?
It's so on there's that red exclamation point kind of in the lower left-hand corner of your studio, right? It has all
like a
throws all the
system
errors.
validation.
Yeah. So I get element XYZ has a broken dependency,
Okay.
and I get
You're,
that in.
you're not doing anything wrong here.
Okay.
This sounds just like a bug.
Oh,
Like there,
okay.
you should not have to do that.
Okay.
Like it's the idea is like if you edited an output, if you edited, you're just adding new outputs, right?
Right.
And then
exactly.
most of the flows that you've built don't use that new output.
They don't.
But like say you renamed your first one, it's the goal is for it to say, hey, these things are broken now.
Yeah.
Because you've renamed output one from A to B. And these three flows use the mapping name of A. So go fix them. But from what you're saying, it's reporting that failure on all flows, no matter if in a scenario where it shouldn't. So that just sounds like a bug to me, Radley.
Awesome. Then I'll submit that ticket.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Murray, can you point me to the default case view page so I can create a copy? I think it's just called default case. Default case page. You can copy this thing, and if you want to find it, you can just default case. Murray, I'll let you speak here. Right click manage open containing folder, and it'll take you to where in the folder tree is located under system defaults here. And page, default case page, there you go.
I was calling it view, so I wasn't finding that.
No worries.
That's all I needed. I knew it was simple.
You bet, happy to help.
Okay.
Do we need support to install process mining? Right now you do, yes. Because we're, the way we're making the installer available requires support to be available. So currently the answer to that is yes. So go through your customer success manager and we can help you get it installed. All right, we have a question here from Jeff. I have an in session form that I'm getting an access error. Not sure what I'm missing. Do you have more details about the error, Jeff, that you're hitting?
Yeah, it's a system account error.
Any chance you could paste the error into the webinar chat here really quick? Like, do you think
type it? It's just one of those pop-up errors. Access.
Invalid access. This flow step has been initiated by system account. This flow step has been initiated by system account.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
it starts with a form that allows them to give us a couple inputs.
Okay.
Runs a flow, then it has an in form that includes a message saying like, hey, this was successful, or we ran into this error.
Okay.
And then they can click a button that takes them back to the first form so that they can try
Okay.
again or do it on a different property because it's specific. Or they
I
can
see.
close out. They can be done. And that second form just is never showing up. And this is what we get. So we did a catch exception so we could see the
Yeah.
username of who was running it, and it's whoever's running it. So like if I run it, it shows me.
So I don't know what the fix here is off the top of my head, Jeff, but what I would try is just remove the end as a quick test, remove the end form and rerun. What happens when you call an end form in a flow is it does change the user context of the flow. And so what I think it's expecting now that the system is running the flow, because the idea of an end form, it's to show you some user interaction, show you a little bit of UI and let the flow progress. But I guess the way the flow is designed is it can show an end form and allow a user to continue user
Yes.
interaction. But at that point, I don't know if it's expected or not, but at that point now the user context is switched and it thinks the back end, like system account, is running the process. So I bet you could confirm my hypothesis by not having an end form at all and seeing if you do or don't get the error.
Okay.
How to get around that?
So if I looped back to the original form just with the message like at the top so that they saw the message but then could just initiate a new action, do you think that would work?
Okay, yeah, so if you get an error, reshow same form with an unhidden label that says like issue XYZ.
Yeah, with the message.
Yes, because
box.
that, if I'm right, and you can confirm that pretty quickly, then that avoids the use of an inform, which avoids the opportunity for this session switch to occur. Is that right?
Yeah,
So
because I'm
that,
just using a
yeah.
show form, so it's not, I don't think it's technically the inform step. So I was a bit baffled, but I'll give that a shot.
There's no informs in your process at all?
No, they're just, just a show form.
Okay, then something's causing this, the context to switch there. Usually we see that with an inform. There are other things that could cause it, like maybe assignments or a go async step.
And it has an in assignment. I have pauses. Could it be pauses?
It could be pause step, yes. If is
Okay.
save process data set to true on the assignment, on the pause step,
Let me jump in there and double check that.
that might switch it to system context.
Pause flow. It is not saving flow data.
Okay, but that's still, that does pause. It could run that in the system context now.
Okay.
That might be, you might route around that and see if you can avoid the issue. What makes you want to use or need to use pause steps for your flow?
I'm loading a file from the network and then grabbing the content. And it was getting mad at me because it was still, the file was still being used by another process, so it wouldn't load.
I see. Okay, so you're waiting for like
I
a
have to give it a
lock
couple
from another
seconds.
system to release so that you can grab the file?
I'm pretty sure it's decisions itself.
I see. Oh, so a user loads a form, loads up a file in a previous form, and then you're trying to access that?
Yeah, so I have an endpoint that creates and saves that file. Then I pull that file and pull the bytes from it because it's forming HTML through a different program, but I'm using the HTML to form an email.
Okay,
So between the load file and get string from bytes step, it was saying it was still in use.
okay, I got you. How do we do this on our checkout? Yeah, you might, you might try, so route around the pause step, see if that changes your behavior. You might try a delay step in place of a pause step, though that holds on to the thread the entire time. So if this is high volume, that may not be a great suggestion, but it may not behave in the same way.
Okay.
If neither one of those prove fruitful, probably need support's help to help you come up with some better solution.
Cool. That gives me a lot of good ideas.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'll start there. Thank you.
you bet. Vitalik got a question about the validating our security patch. Are the servers you want to check publicly available, Vitalik? If so, if you can get the URLs to your customer success manager, we can run a testing application we built against them. Right now, if they are not publicly available, then we're not providing a way to test it until we get additional customer fixes in place. At which point we're going to make a judgment call as to provide the utility or not, given that the utility itself exposes some details about the exploit that we don't necessarily want to be known. If anyone has any questions about the security issue, I'm happy to answer those now. I'm sure everyone hopefully should have been alerted last week of this particular scenario. If you're not, happy to chat about that. But much better. Yeah, this week is much less stressful than last week. Thank you for asking. But yeah, Vitaly, if they're publicly accessible, we can run a utility. I don't know what API poisoning is, but I think that's about all the information that we're going to give out at the current moment. We will follow up with details about the scenario and once we've remediated it across the customer base, but not until then, given that no one has exploited it as far as we've been able to confirm. Okay, anybody else got any other questions? Wow, that's a lot of questions in 26 minutes. I've had, anybody else have anything they'd like? as always, you can ask in chat, use the raise hand feature. I'll unmute you and you can ask a question or ask in Q&A, whichever is easiest for you. All right, I guess that's everything then. Going once, going twice. Okay. For Jeff's issue, if you are patched, it could be related. Possibly, I guess, but I don't think so. It's all about all the fixes are around not around user context, around hiding and removing methods. So. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Appreciate all the questions.